Hello and welcome to this lecture, students. We are discussing the subject VLSI testing, and today's topic is automatic test pattern generation. So, we have been discussing about the fault modeling of combinational circuits. We have also discussed regarding the method of test pattern generation in the previous lecture. And today's topic is based on the advanced technique of test pattern generation that is known as the automatic test pattern generation scheme. So various test pattern generation schemes have been developed, but as I already told you in the previous lecture, that any ATPG, this automatic test pattern generation is abbreviated as ATPG. So this ATPG scheme, the basic idea behind the ATPG scheme is the path sensitization. Okay, that we have already seen in the previous lecture, that how path sensitization is useful to generate the test vectors for any combinational circuit. Okay, so three basic steps that are involved in the path sensitization are fault sensitization, that you have to sensitize the fault first. In order to test that, you have to sensitize the fault. Okay. Second is the fault propagation. That fault should be propagated to one of the primary outputs. Then only you will say that your test pattern generation is completed and your test vector is correctly created. And third one is the line justification. Line justification is nothing but the back tracing. We have used in the previous lecture the two terms forward tracing and backward tracing. So this is known as the forward tracing. Fault propagation is nothing but the forward tracing. And line justification, when I will say line justification here in this particular lecture, this means we are tracking the backward, we are going in the backward direction, and that is also known as the backward tracing, as I told you in the previous lecture. So do not confuse with the terminology. This is the forward tracing and this is the backward tracing. Okay, now moving ahead, various path sensitization algorithm, that is nothing but the automatic test pattern generation algorithms, have been developed over the years. In 1966, Roth developed the algorithm, D algorithm, that we are going to discuss today. And in your syllabus also, the different algorithms are not defined. They will only ask you to explain the ATPG scheme, automatic test pattern generation scheme. So you can explain any of the algorithm. So I am going to cover the D algorithm that has been developed by the Roth in 1966. He was in IBM, and then another method known as the PODEM by Goyal was developed in 1981, again in IBM, and then FAN by Fujiwara from Osaka University. He again suggested some changes and developed one algorithm known as the FAN in 1984. So these two things, PODEM and FAN, are very popular in case of the ATPG generation scheme, and these are nothing but the advancement of the D algorithm that we are going to discuss in today's lecture. Okay, and other algorithms are also there, Socrates and Spirit. And over the years, these fault testing mechanisms have evolved, and different problems have been addressed by various researchers across the globe. So we are now going to shift our attention to today's topic, that is the D algorithm. It was developed by Roth, as I already told you, in 1966 in IBM, and this is the first complete concept invented for ATPG. Okay, and it involves five valued algebraic say the logic. So it is based on the five valued logic. How it is based on the five valued logic, just in a while we discuss about that. And the logic must be of composite value. Composite value means it is the combination of faulty and fault free logic. And how this five valued logic is coming over here, that I am going to cover now. So if I say the composite value can be only of two types. It can be either faulty or it can be fault free. So if a faulty output is 0, the fault free output may be 0. Or you can say if the faulty line is having the logic 0, the fault free line may have the logic 0. We are discussing the combinations, we are discussing the probabilities. Okay. Similarly, if a faulty output is 0, the fault free output may be 1, or fault free line may be 1. Similarly, if the faulty output is 0 or the faulty line is 0, the fault free line may be undetermined, or we can say they don't care. Moving to the next case, if faulty line is 1, it may be that fault free line will be 0. Moving to the another case, if faulty line is 1, then a fault free line may be also 1. Next is if faulty line is 1, fault free line may be undetermined. Okay, that is don't care condition. And the next is faulty line may be don't care, then fault free may be 0. And again don't care and 1, and don't care and don't care. Okay, so look at here. If both logic here in first case, if both logic is 0, we can replace it by simply 0. Okay, and if both logic are 1 here over here, we can simply replace it as 1. If it is 0 and it is 1, 0 means a fault, and here it is 1 and it is 0. So where we can detect the fault, if there is difference between fault free and faulty output, here it is the difference 0 and 1 and 1 and 0. Okay, so 1 and 0 I am giving it as D means here is stuck at 0. Just for your understanding, D here is defining as stuck at 0. Okay, and D bar here is defining as stuck at 1. Okay, and all other cases other than these four logics, all other cases which has don't care condition with them are considered as the case of don't care. So this is how this D algorithm, this D calculus works on the 5-valued logic. It can be 0, it can be 1, it can be D, it can be D bar, and it can be don't care. Okay, so this is the basic fundamental behind the D algorithm. Now we have already seen in the previous case that we have to follow some implications, and that may lead the testing mechanism in the forward direction and in the backward direction. What are the implications? Implications are the necessary condition. We cannot avoid it. Suppose if I am applying the test vector for the AND gate, and if one of the input is propagating the value to the primary output and it is 0, then in order to propagate it further, I mean into the output, the other input, the other non-controllable input has to be 1. So that is the implication. You cannot change it. For AND gate it has to be 1, and for OR gate it has to be 0. So that is the implication, and by providing or by considering that implication, we move ahead in the forward direction, and if anything goes wrong, we again come back in the backward direction, and again we review the circuit, and we review the logic, and we accordingly change the logic. Okay, so the forward and backward direction tracing is definitely based on the implications. Okay, if you are new to this lecture, if you have not seen the previous 2-3 lectures, go to the previous 2-3 lectures so that you can better relate with the logic of AND, OR, and non-controllable, uncontrollable output. What are these things, and what is fault propagation, and what is forward and backward tracing? Those things we have already covered in the previous 2-3 lectures. Okay, so implication stack. Implication stack is nothing but to store the intermediate decision. Suppose I have made a decision. I am, going through a circuit of, some combination of AND and OR gate, and somehow I made a wrong decision in between, and I had to, come back at the previous decision point, and I want to change that. So in order to change that, that has to be stored somewhere. That then only I can change that. Okay, so you can consider it as a memory. So here the word stack is there. So you have already studied stack memory in case of the processor. You are knowing the stack memory. So you can see his stack here is nothing but the storage point of the intermediate decision, so that you can anytime come back and change the decision. And backtracking or backtracing is required in case of the decision goes wrong. Okay, that I already discussed just a while ago. So we will discuss two important things in this particular algorithm, that is the decision during fault propagation. Decision during the fault propagation. Please consider this circuit. This circuit consists of an OR gate, an NOR gate, a NAND gate, NOT gate, again a NOR gate, AND gate, and AND gate. I have named it as G1, G2, G3, G4, G5, and G6. Okay. two outputs are there, two primary outputs are there. This is the output F1 and this is the output F2. So do not get confused with the symbol of fault here. This is not fault. This is representing F1. F1 is representing is the output 1 and F2 is representing the output 2. Okay. Now suppose this line here, this line D bar is representing a fault. I already told you in the previous page that D bar is nothing but the stuck at 1 fault. So in order to propagate this stuck at 1 fault towards the primary output, there are two primary outputs, F1 or F2. We can propagate it to F1 also and we can propagate it to F2 also. Now we have to see that what logic will give me the correct test pattern and correct value, so that I can say that my test pattern generation is very good and it can test the fault in this particular circuit. Okay, so we will see that. Now let me uh, tell you over here that in order to propagate this particular stuck at 1 fault, that is D bar over here F1, the other input of G5 has to be 1. What this gate is? This gate is AND gate. I told you in the previous lecture, the non-controlling input for AND gate is 1, because AND gate is sensitive to 0. If any of the input is 0, then irrespective of the second input, the output will always become 0. So do we want that? We do not want that. What we want? We want that this logic should travel towards this logic, or we can say that this D bar should travel to the F1, and without a change in this logic, it has to be D bar. So what is the non-controlling value for this AND gate then? It has to be 1. Okay, now here see, for this D bar, that is the stuck at 1 fault, what thing I have to apply here to sensitize this fault? Suppose I am checking for, or I am testing for stuck at 1 fault, then I have to apply the logic 0 to sensitize that. Then only we can take the XORing condition. If I am checking the stuck at 1, then I have to apply the logic, reverse logic stuck at 0. And if I am checking stuck at 0, then I have to apply the reverse logic as 1, that we already discussed in the previous lectures. Okay. So in order to make the output of G1 as 0 to sensitize this stuck at 1 fault D bar, the input of this particular NAND gate A, B and C has to be 1. Then only we will get 0 here. So A, B, C is default. The default value of A, B, C will be 1. So now check here. All these three inputs are 1, and now we are talking about the input of this particular NOR gate. So if this particular logic has to be 1, what should be the logic of D and A connected to this particular gate? The D has to be 0 and A will also have to be 0. Why? Why we are saying this? Because this is the NOR gate, and in order to have output as 1, both the input of this NOR gate should be connected to 0. Is it not? Is it correct? So can we have two logic for one particular input? Can we have A as 1 and can we have A as 0 at the same time? It is not possible. So what does it mean? It means that my propagation of D bar towards F1 through this path goes wrong. My propagation of D bar towards output through this path goes wrong. Let me explain it with have I written over here the theory? The theory is not written over here, so I have to explain it by circuit only. So now go back and see, can we make the propagation of D bar towards G6 instead of going the path of G5? Can we go through the path of G6 and yet we able to propagate this D bar towards the primary output F2? Okay, so let us check this condition. So again, this is again the AND gate, just like G5, G6 also an AND gate. So in order to propagate D bar here, the other input has to be 1. And if this has to be 1, the input of this particular NOR gate has to be 0. So E has to be 0. And by making C 1, we are making the output of G3 as 0. Any problem is here? No problem is here. So by this logic, if I want to, make the D bar propagate to the F2, I can easily propagate to the F2 without changing any logic behind, and also there is no conflict at the input C. Just the in the previous case, it is the reverse. It was the reverse. In case of the A, there was the conflict. The original input is 1, and because of this particular logic 1, we had to set the A as 0. So this was not possible. So what are the two conditions here? So we tested for G5 and G6, and we found that G5 is the failure case. It is not giving me the correct logic for propagation, and G6 is the case of success. S here is the succeeded or success, and by going through this propagation, by going through this path, we can propagate the D bar towards the output F2. So this particular thing is nothing but decision during the fault propagation. Okay, so what would my test pattern will look like? What would my test pattern will look like? A is equal to 1, B equals to 1, C equals to 1, all 1 1 1, E has to be 0. And uh, does D is affecting my logic over here? No, because D is not connected through my propagation path. In my propagation path, what are the inputs that are connected to my propagation path? A is connected, B is connected, C is connected, and E is connected, because I am propagating D bar through G6. I am not propagating D bar to G5. If I was propagating D bar to G5, I had to consider D with some logic. So D will be don't care for me, and the test vector will be triple one 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 don't care and 0, where A B C has to be 1, D can be any value, and E has to be 0. So this is how I have generated the test pattern, and I have decided that F1 is the wrong path for me and F2 is the correct path for me. So D frontier, what is the D frontier? The set of all gates whose output value is currently undetermined, or we can say they don't care, but have one or more fault signals on their inputs. So in case here G5 and G6 both are considered as D frontier. G5 and G6 both are considered as the G frontier because we have the faulty logic D bar over here, and we are not knowing the F1 and F2 unless we go and see that which path is going to give me the better test result or test pattern generation. Then we would say that D frontier consists of G5 and G6 in this particular case. So at any given time, there must be one gate in the D frontier so that the proper fault propagation can take place. In other words, the fault can be said non-sensitizable or redundant if D frontier has, if D frontier does not contain any gate. Okay, so in order to propagate the fault and to sensitize the fault, or we can say if we do not want that fault may be treated as redundant, we say that the frontier has to contain the gates which has some input that may be D or D bar depending upon stuck at 0 or stuck at 1 fault, and then we can say that we can store the intermediate decision and decide afterwards that which path is giving me the correct logic for test pattern generation. Okay, now next is decision during the line justification. Line justification is nothing but backward tracing. So when we are tracing backwards or we are adjusting the lines, what would we do so that we can go ahead without any problem? So look at this circuit. Here I want to test stuck at one fault at line H. I am interested in testing the stuck at one fault in line H. So what is the primary rule? If you want to test any fault stuck at 0 or stuck at 1, the reverse logic has to be applied at its input. So if I am interested in testing the stuck at 1 fault, the input should be 0. Input of H should be 0. Now because of this fault propagation fundamental or phenomena, I have to propagate this particular fault D bar to primary input S, because P is not my not primary input, primary output. So P is not my primary output, P is one of the intermediate outputs, and in order to propagate this fault towards the primary output S, I have to make the other two inputs of this AND gate as 1. Why? I already told you. Okay, so this is E as 1, F as 1 and H as 0. Now I am interested to propagate this fault, this particular D bar to S. Now because the number 3, gate number 3 is nothing but the AND gate, the other two input, that is the Q and R, has to be 1. Okay, you already know the condition. Now this Q and R is equal to 1, and then only we can propagate D bar to this particular output S. Now again we have to check to this Q and this R whether they are meeting the correct logic or not. This is the challenge. So let us understand this step by step, then you will come to know that whether we are going in the right direction or we are going in the wrong direction, or whether the line justification is matching or not. So the input to line H must be 0, that I already told you. In order to sensitize the fault, further to propagate D bar, the other two inputs must be equal to 1, E and F, that I already told you. Okay, so we will move ahead and see. Now second is, now D bar is propagated to P, but it is not the primary output, so we have to propagate it further as S equal to D bar, I mean the primary output. And for that the other two input, that is the R and Q, must be 1. That also we discussed. Now let us see. Now if Q equals to 1, if this output, if Q equals to 1, then any of the input, either K or L, has to be 1. Any of the input, K can also be 1 and L can also be 1. Okay, if K is 1, then also Q will be 1. If L is 1, then also Q will be 1, because gate number 6 is nothing but the OR gate. Now this is the decision point. This is where we have to check that we are going in the right direction or not. So either we can make K as 1, and either or we can make L as 1. So now suppose I am making K as 1. So for making K as 1, both A and B has to be 1. For making K as 1, both A and B has to be 1. Okay, so let us, oh, just a change in the logic, because K is independent intermediate output here, because it is not connected directly to the primary inputs, but L has the direct connection through C and D towards this logic S through R. So I have to take L as 1 first, and then I will explain about K as 1. Okay, so by mistake I took the intermediate output as K. So now take the intermediate output L first. So by making L 1, I can make Q as 1. So now if L equals to 1, this implies that C and D has to be 1. The implication is, because this is AND gate, gate number 5 is AND gate, so if C and D both are equal to 1, the L has to be the L will also be equal to 1. So if C and D both are equal to 1, then M and N will be equal to 0. M and N will equal to 0. Now you can check here, E is already 1. E is already 1, and because E is already 1, this O output is 0. So, so because we are making C and D 1, in order to make L 1, and because of C and D 1, the M and N will also be equal to 0. So all the three inputs which are connected to gate number 2, that is M, N and O, will come out as 0. So if all the inputs are 0, what will be the value of this R? R will be equal to 0, because this is an OR gate. So my condition of making R equals to 1 gets failed here. I cannot make R equals to 1, because all the inputs connected to my this particular gate are 0. And if I cannot make R equals to 1, I cannot make propagation of this D bar towards this primary output S. So what should I do then? Now I will go and change my decision. I will go my previous decision point over here and see that can I make K as 1. If I make K as 1, I have to make A and B as 1 1. So uh, is there any problem by of making A and B both equal to 1? Is there any problem in this circuit? If I make A and B equal to 1, K will be equal to 1. And if K is equal to 1, Q will always be equal to 1. But by making A and B equals to 1, can my problem of R equals to 1 get solved? This problem still remains unsolved. So what should I do then? What should I apply at C and D to make R equals to 1? Now you can say here that E has to be 1. This is clear. So if E has to be 1, then O has to be 0. So forget about E and O. Now concentrate at M, N and this C and D. C is connected to M and D is connected to N. So if M and N, if any of the input M or N is equal to 1, R will be equal to 1. This idea is clear. So I am making C as 1. I am making C as 0. If I'm making C as 0, the M will come out as 1. If M will come out as 1, then R will always be equal to 1, irrespective of the input at D and irrespective of the input at E, because OR is sensitive to 1. So if any of the input of OR is 1, the output will always be equal to 1. So this E is equal to 1 and this C is equal to 0 will give me the correct test pattern. So what are the logics that we have discussed? A has to be 1, B has to be 1, C has to be 0, E has to be 1, F has to be 1 and H has to be 0. Again this D is affecting my test pattern or my logic? No, it is not affecting. So it has to be don't care. It can be 1, it can be 0. It is not going to affect the logic of R. Okay, so D will be treated as don't care. Okay, so all the summary I have written over here. I will share in the notes as well. So all the summary that I discussed through the diagram, it is written over here. So what is the test pattern that we discussed? A has to be 1. Here is the test pattern. A has to be 1, B has to be 1, C has to be 0, D can be a don't care value, any value, it will not affect. E and F equal to 1 and H is obviously equal to 0 to sensitize the fault. So J frontier is nothing but a set of all gates whose output value is known but not implied by its input value. So here J frontier means J frontier is for line justification. So here it means that we are knowing the output values because we are knowing the value of Q, we are knowing the value of R and we are knowing the value of the P. So we are knowing the output values, but for that output value we are not knowing the value of the inputs. We are not knowing the value of A, B, C and D. This is the backward tracing. This is the decision during the line justification. So we have seen that at gate number 6, at input of gate number 6, either K or L, we had to decide that and we had taken the input as K because K is giving me the correct logic for my test pattern generation. So this is all about the automatic test pattern generation and the D algorithm. The other two algorithms you can again you can see the details of PODEM and FEN in the internet as well, and there is not much difference in that. The advancement of D algorithm is done in case of the PODEM and some advancement are done in case of the FEN, in order to further automate the test. So we have discussed the D algorithm. This is sufficient for your examination. You can discuss the D algorithm for automatic test pattern generation in case of the uh, you can say the testing of combinational circuits. So from next lecture, we will start our discussion on sequential circuit, that how we can model the faults, we can generate the test pattern for sequential circuits, and how sequential circuits are different in case of making the decision of fault modeling and also designing the test vectors and deciding whether that test vector can test the sequential circuit or not. What are the difficulties involved, that we will discuss in the next lecture. Thank you for listening and watching this particular lecture.